Hello, it's Dr. Bettina here from Nip in the Bud. We've had a letter that says my child is adopted and is struggling with arriving at school and being left there by me. What can I do? So, here are some thoughts and guidance from me about what parents can do in this really difficult situation. Many adopted children have experienced early disruption in what we call the attachment relationship. Maybe there was inconsistent caregiving or sudden separation or other traumatic early experiences. And what these experiences do is profoundly shape how the child relates to other people, including their caregiver. They can be really hypervigilant and fearful of separation. They just often don't believe that the parent is going to come back. So I'm not sure about the history of this particular child or even the age, but I can certainly give you some guidance and 5 top tips for how to support an adopted child if they're struggling with separation. Number one, do some detective work. It's super important to figure out if there's more going on beneath the surface. Is this a new issue, or have they always struggled with separation? And any big change in behavior needs investigating to understand what's really going on. I would chat with the teacher to find out how the child is once they're at school, once you have gone. Are they connecting with friends? Are they engaged in learning? Might there be a learning issue that's not been identified? Do they feel like they belong in school? It's very important for young people. And all of this information will help you to understand if your child feels safe and secure once the separation is over. Tip 2, establish a consistent drop-off routine. This really helps to regulate the young person's nervous system and build this internal sense of safety, which is often missing for adopted children. Develop a rock-solid goodbye ritual. So you might arrive early to kind of avoid the chaos of all the other kids being there. Maybe you take them in a different door. I would establish a connection with somebody that the child likes who can be there to greet them. And remember, it's who they like, not necessarily who you like. You might have something like a secret handshake or something you do at the moment of separation, perhaps a transitional object. Depending on the age of the child, they might take with them their favorite teddy or something of yours that they can hold on to throughout the day. And that acts as a bridge between home and school. But all of this consistency in the moment of separation helps your child to internalize this sense of constancy and trust, and it helps their nervous system to be calm in that moment of often heightened anxiety. Be intentional with what you say. Your words are really powerful, and it's always important to validate their feelings, not dismiss them. So you might say something like, I can see you don't like it when we separate. I don't either. I miss you and I love you, but know that I will always be here to come and see you at the end of the day. This is much better than saying something like, don't worry or don't be silly. They are already worrying. And what happens is when we name and acknowledge a child's experience, we help them to regulate these hard feelings, and they get this sense of safety from really feeling seen by us. This also teaches them emotional resilience in the long term, their ability to kind of manage their emotions and understand themselves, as well as feeling connected to us. So that's a very important tip. Tip 4, practice separation in other areas of life. Some parents are tempted to sneak out and not tell the child when they're leaving. Maybe they want to avoid the tears and the scene. I really understand that. But it can actually backfire. When a young person never knows whether you're coming or going, it actually makes them more anxious overall. So instead, try signaling every single time you need to leave them. Practice this in everyday life and at home, even if it means dealing with the big emotions. And when you start to do this, the emotions might become really big, but as they practice over time, it will become easier. One of the biggest separation experiences, of course, that little ones experience every day is bedtime. So you can use that as an opportunity to practice. So as well as going through your usual bedtime routine, which is always important to have a routine, make sure that you say to them, okay, now it's time for me to go, and I'll be right back in the morning. Staying calm, giving them a hug and doing this consistently. Again, it might be hard to begin with if you haven't done it before, but know that over time, this consistency really helps them to build this trust in your presence, even when you're not physically with them. And that's what we need in order for this separation at school to go more smoothly. And tip number 5, offer unwavering predictability. If you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. It might not seem like a big deal to have to send someone else to pick them up if you can't be there one day or change the routine. But actually, for these young people, it can be very hard for them to handle. If children have an insecure attachment or have struggled with inconsistent relationships in the past, you need to be really, really solid in doing what you say you're going to do. They're always kind of worrying, is this person going to be there for me? Are they going to disappear? I mean, of course, there are going to be the odd times when something happens, like your car breaks down and you have to send someone else. And you can tell them, in exceptional circumstances, I won't be there. But if you are there 99% of the time, they will build this internal, consistent predictability that you're going to come back. The other thing to think about, if you have a complicated timetable, let's say you pick them up Monday, Wednesday, and a childminder Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, you might write that down or give them consistent reminders before they really know that routine clearly. The point is, the more we stick to our word, the more these children feel safe inside them and they know that we mean what we say, and the easier all separations will become. And of course, if you're following these tips, you've been doing that for some time and it's an ongoing problem, then do seek some professional advice. Parenting adopted children can be really challenging as well as incredibly rewarding. And there's no shame in going and getting some help and saying, we feel really stuck with this. Professionals are there to help and they really understand these difficulties. So I really wish you the best of luck with things. And if anybody has a question for Nip in the Bud, please let us know and we will do our best to offer some guidance.